Hi, so we're in chapter 2 here, and we are discussing the sports medicine team. And the things that come out of this chapter first are a definition of what sports medicine is, because it's kind of an ambiguous term in that most people would hear the word sports medicine and they might think of like ibuprofen. And I say that kind of to be funny, but the reality is that sports medicine is a very different approach to treating a very different patient. And a good example of this is several years ago, there was a quarterback in the National Football League who had an appendix surgery or an appendectomy, and was back on the field and playing, or at least practicing within a week. And I don't know how many of you in our student audience out there have ever had your appendix taken out, but I had mine taken out in 2005, and let me just tell you, it was not something that really let me want to think about doing football practice a week later. And so there's a very different approach to the way athletes or medicine approaches athletes. And so I want to take just a second to kind of talk about that. Now, one of the things that you noticed out of chapter 2 was a definition about sports medicine, and that it was a multidisciplinary approach. And so immediately you take from that word that it has to do with a team. And that's really important, because one specific provider cannot be adequate for the needs of an athlete. And so let's look at some very specific roles. Many professionals play a role, not just the ones I have on the whiteboard behind me, but many do. And I don't want you to think that this is a finite group of people right here and that no one else participates, because there are plenty more. And I have a lot of stories that I could tell, and hopefully I'll share some of those with you through the semester. But let's look at this first. The athlete is in the center of this sports medicine team. They're the one who receives the care. And so from that, we have to consider 4 big players in this. First of all, let's talk about who the athlete should get the most intimate care from. And that would probably come from the person over here on the left, which is the athletic trainer. ATC is short for athletic trainer certified. That person is going to get the most intimate care as it relates to, or give the most intimate care as it relates to that athlete's health care. Now, from there, probably most intimate person connected to that athlete is the coach. The coach knows the kid, and they're going to be dealing with that kid in their day-to-day life, in the assignments from school, their assignments on the field, to their behavior, and so they're going to know the kid in a very different way. But as far as the injury is concerned, the first person and typically the last person involved is ATC. Now, that doesn't mean that the ATC or the athletic trainer has full control over that athlete, and that's why I have at the top the word physician. The physician should always be where the care begins and ends as far as that athlete is concerned. But many times what happens is an athlete is injured at the school, and so the first person to see that athlete is the athletic trainer. And so the athletic trainer will make the appropriate referral, and that will go directly to the physician. Now, if you look down from that, I have written in there parent, and many times the parent needs to be involved. Now, there are some times where I think we have definitely created a culture where the parent becomes too involved sometimes. I know that I've had parents contact me when I was a full-time clinical athletic trainer because I gave their kid a Band-Aid and I didn't contact them, or maybe a bag of ice and I didn't contact them. And at that point, I think we've kind of lost sight of what we're doing. But that's just the society that we live in. And so what I want to tell you is that the parent does need to be involved and does need to have the most control over the care that the kid gets. And that's how it rightfully should be. Now, at some point, they're an adult, and I see many adults as an athletic trainer still today. And if they're 32 years old, I don't know that their parents should be involved. And so maybe that's for another class. But the physicians at the top, they dictate everything that happens about the healthcare, especially return to play. That is the critical thing that we must let the physician do. The ATC sometimes gets autonomy to do that, but it should come directly at a directive from the physician. The coach should always consult the ATC or the physician first. Let me tell you who doesn't always have the best choice in the matter, and that is a parent. Parents sometimes will push a kid to return or let a kid return. And this has happened time and time again, where a parent is so influenced by their child that they're willing to let their child talk them into doing something that is just not safe or just not appropriate for that kid to do. And I want you to think about how many times we see kids controlling their parents just in a grocery store or a Walmart. So kids definitely manipulate and control their parents at the level where they're going to influence them on what they get to do in sports. So that's another thing as a coach or an athletic trainer or any member of that healthcare, or if you're just a parent, to remember that that kid will definitely try to influence the decision. And sometimes the parents are not objective. And so we always want to default as coaches, athletic trainers, parents back up to the physician because they can typically see this more objectively and they know the risk involved. That being said, I hope everything's going well for you. Let me know what you think. Go ahead with assignment 2, reading chapter 2, and I'll see you on the next chapter.